Your life is being narrated and every day is an episode. What's your narrator saying about what you're doing at this very minute? In David Attenborough's voice. Despite waking over 30 minutes ago, the middle-aged man remains lying and largely motionless with the exception of his fingers, which he uses to communicate to strangers across the world. This morning ritual is essential for the species to deal with the bullshit he will face once his wife and kids realize he is awake. Procrastination isn't new to him. Oh no, not at all. In fact, this work was long overdue. How he negotiated a time extension is beyond explanation. However, here we are. Damn that word burrito in the fridge. He could hear it calling him. Will the work ever begin? Standing up, he headed to the kitchen to pillage the fridge. All the food must be consumed, he thought as he gulped down donut after cheese dog after uncooked hamburger meat and hot sauce. He had finished shitting, and now lingered to browse Reddit and avoid the work he knew waited for him. He wondered if anyone would notice if he stayed in the stall for the next 4 hours. He didn't think so, but the idea of listening to other men's fecal outbursts for the rest of the night was not an enticing prospect. The longer he sat, the more likely he knew it was that his leg would fall asleep. The last thing he wanted was to stand up, only for his leg to give out and send him face first onto the floor. He knew the type of people he worked with, and that floor was far from anywhere a face should be. Curling his body into the fetal position, while a balloon tucks his comforter around himself, creating a tight blanket cocoon. He stares at the glowing rectangle of his iPhone and wonders whether getting up to get a glass of water would be worth the effort. Probably not, he concludes, stroking the screen of his cell phone and subtly shifting his body weight. And then, as he lie there, alone, in his destitute hotel room, Red Bull coursing through his veins, bedsheets stained red from the earlier ball shaving related mishap, a half-eaten bowl of macaroni on the counter next to the TV guide and takeout menus. When a ruckus was heard outside, he shimmied out of bed towards the window and saw 2 homeless men standing outside of what would best be described as a post office turned nail salon. The 2 men were fighting over a pineapple. There was blood on each of their faces. He closed the blinds and slipped back into the sheets, into his blood, and thought to himself, Miami sorta sucks. Her eyes are burning, and a dull pain is starting to build up in her head. The hours between 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. can be the worst for insomniacs. She's accepted that she won't be getting any sleep, yet it's too early to truly begin the day. She goes out on the porch for a cigarette, listening to traffic picking up nearby. This will be the 9th day she's gone without sufficient sleep, and while not fatal, the ongoing insomnia will continue to slow her reflexes and diminish her capacity for thought. As her exhaustion becomes worse, her clumsiness will increase. She will become irritable, and her language skills will degrade. Within hours she will return to her lair, utterly weak and drained but still unable to sleep, and stare blankly at the ceiling as she hopes for respite. With the exception of going out for a smoke, boy does this describe my life sometimes. I've never gone that long without some amount of sleep though, shallow and short-lived though it may be. Have you talked to a doctor about your insomnia? It really is bad for us to not sleep. It's been a recurring theme in my life. Doctors have said it's related to depression and anxiety, etc. Some doctors would prescribe sleeping pills short term until my sleep patterns leveled off. For the last 5 years I was with a doctor who took a very less is more approach to meds, so I've been left just get through each episode as it comes up. Last night was the first night I didn't sleep at all, just been sleeping poorly and progressively worse. For the last 2 weeks, I did take a nap around noon and will probably, knock wood, be able to sleep okay tonight if it goes like usual. Got an appointment with a new doctor in a couple weeks and believe me I'll be bringing it up edit. Holy shit, I just reread that and no, I didn't go 9 days without sleep, I forgot to type enough. See what I mean about it messing me up. We observe the wild. Insert my name here. Lying in bed wanting to die and hugged his ex-girlfriend all at the same time. He uses the platform known as Reddit for memes to try and repress his ongoing depression. But it is all for naught. He will inevitably succumb to his mental illness once all of his friends and family inevitably leave him, whether that be for college or they just leave. On the next episode we will find if he will stab himself. Or will he sit and cry in a corner? Or do both? Find out next time on The Life of That One Worthless Idiot. It was 8 a.m. and she knew full well she should be sleeping. In fact, she should have gone to bed hours ago. So of course she got her phone out instead. It was an ineffective tactic to try and distract her mind from just how horny and frustrated the entire night had left her. She would almost certainly regret the decision to delay sleep, but right now she couldn't give a shit. With the narrator from the Stanley Parable's voice, the King of Hats began his morning rituals by shoving his hand under his covers and grabbing hold of his manstick. As he attempted to move it, he could feel the pains of the previous times flowing into them. For a moment, he pondered if it was all worth it, and if his arousal was truly enough to bother doing it. He decided to ignore that consideration, and did it anyways. Sniffling pitifully and hiding under a heated blanket, she tries to think of a nice way to make her husband stop snoring. She's been awake for over an hour, as the sound keeps her from finding rest. Refusing to leave the impenetrable fortress of warmth she's constructed and snuggling her teddy bears, she mindlessly scrolls through Reddit. Remembering how hard she failed at League of Legends the previous day, she replied to the Reddit post. While laying in her bed, she wonders if the hallucinations she was seeing at 5 a.m. were a health issue. She was fine now at 11 a.m. She had been sleeping for quite a while. Her parents had already left for her brother's wrestling match. Elizabeth reaches for her hydro flask but it rolls off the nightstand and kills her pet turtle. And I oop and I oop and I oop, she screams. SKSKSKKSSKSKSKSKSKS. She laughs while posting it on Visco, with a large grin, her teeth's color matching the yellow scrunchie on her wrist. Realizing she didn't have the ever-popular squatty potty, she grabbed her son's Paw Patrol training potty as a substitute in an effort to alleviate the need to strain so much during her morning poo. After reviewing other comments before posting her own, she felt safe in the fact of knowing everyone poos while scrolling through Reddit. As he sat in his room browsing Reddit, the idiotic teen smiled. As soon his sisters would be going shopping for a few hours, and his father and uncle would also be gone for a few hours to pick up a fridge. His sister had baked a cake the night beforehand, and only one slice was gone. It was chocolate, and big. To recap, he was being left alone in a house for a few hours, with a big chocolate cake, a pack of tortillas, his PlayStation, and a month's worth of porn to wade through after November. They have just all left. Let the wank begin. As he takes the public bus to get back to the town he originates from, this young specimen of Canorius Tipaeus proceeds to reflect on how shit of a day today was for him, as it culminated with him probably failing technology class as his computer decided to freeze exactly during the final exam. Luckily, the professor was kind enough to photograph the work he had already done, but that was obviously not enough since this poor piece of shit is slow as fuck at typing, so he didn't manage to finish the exercise. The female Homo sapien lays motionless in her nest, petting a rather adorable dog. She talks to the dog lovingly, while coughing, as December is when Homo sapiens have the desire to get sick one way or another at this time. Her dog is right next to her face, in which she pets again. She will continue to lay there for the next few hours, which I will never understand. It seems quite boring. Despite the day already starting, she lays no mind. Her nest grows comfier by the minute. As you can see, she is a useless sack of flesh and contributes to society in no way. And now he sits and waits with a slightly irradiated stomach from an amalgamation of salt water he swished around his mouth due to the earlier tooth extraction for his wife to finish her exam in the hospital, while worrying okay at the effect of his mother walking in on him in the bathroom while he was doing the salted swishing to hand him the phone of his sister who was calling because he didn't answer his phone, and he nodded no to the request because he felt it was a fucking private affair since he's in the bathroom. What the fuck is she doing in here handing me a phone for?